Guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be going over all of the books I have on my physical TBR. This video has kind of been going around with a lot of the book girlies, and I just wanted to jump on the bandwagon because I have so many books that I have yet to read and that I'm so excited to read. Honestly, I feel like I am not like a super fast reader like a lot of other people. I can read maybe like one book a week, maybe two. I'm really bad at being on my phone as well, so I spend a lot of time doing that. I mean, I also work a full-time job. There's a lot of factors into it. I also usually on the weekends I'm doing something that doesn't allow me to read. Anyways, I have all of my books behind me here. So all the ones that are turned around are the ones that are on my TBR. The ones up here are all books that I've read. Also, look at this. How weird is this? So over here we have fantasy, and I also have one thriller mystery book. These are basically all black, and then these are all of my romance books, which are like all blue, which is so crazy. How have I only read blue romance books? I don't know. Obviously I'm very attracted to the blue color. Blue is my favorite color along with pink, so it kind of makes sense, but I just saw that today. I was like, what the heck? That is just crazy. I am just gonna get into the video. I'm just gonna basically be going over the book, telling you a little bit about it if I know what the plot is about. I will kind of explain to you why I want to read it, who I heard talk about the book, and why I bought it. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing today. That is all I have to say right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into my physical TBR. Alright, so I'm basically just gonna go down both piles, and whatever I pick up is what we're gonna talk about. So the first one that I have on top is The Naturals. This is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a really popular series that I've seen a bunch of booktubers talk about. I think it's about this girl. She has like a skill that's not normal. It says she can tell who you are and what you want. Then the FBI comes knocking on her door. They ask her to crack infamous cold cases. I think there's a few other people involved who also have skills. So I don't know if each book goes through a different person in their skill or if it's all kind of combined together. But yeah, there's 4 books in the series. She is also the author of The Inheritance Games, which is in one of these piles somewhere. So I'll talk about that a little bit more once I get to it. And this is a YA book. This, oh my gosh, the words are huge. This looks like it would be super easy to get through. So yeah, that is the first one. Next we have the book Scarred, and I think this is part of the Never After series. So I ended up reading Hooked about a month ago probably. I had never heard about it, but now that I have read it, I hear Alexa Ray talk about it a lot. So I read Hooked. That was like a Peter Pan retelling, and so I think this series is like Disney retellings. Let me look up what this one is about. Oh my gosh, this is about the Lion King. I did not know that, but now that I know that, I feel like I'm gonna want to read it so much more. I like the first one. These are a dark romance, so it kind of tells a story about the villain in the Disney series. Yeah, now that I know that, that makes so much sense now reading the back. It says Prince Tristan Fossa, yeah, the last name makes sense. Tristan Fossa was never destined for the throne. That was his brother Michael, the same brother responsible for both Tristan's tormented childhood and the scar that mars his face. Okay, that makes so much sense now. Wow, I feel dumb. The first book, Hooked, had a lot of like murder in it. So like I said, dark romance. I think I rated it like 4 out of 5 stars. So it was a really good book. I did enjoy it, but I wasn't so sure about this one. But like I said, I am actually looking forward to that. Next we have The Grace Year, and this is by Kim Liggett. I saw this in the YA section, and I've heard about it on like in YouTube videos and stuff, but I wasn't really interested. And then I saw the cover, and obviously I was attracted to it. I love pink, so I picked it up. It says, no one speaks of the Grace Year, it's forbidden. In Gardner County, girls are banished for their 16th year to release their magic into the wild so they can return purified and ready for marriage. But not all of them will make it home alive. So that's just the first few lines of the back. But this sounds really good, and I have been in my fantasy era. Me saying that and literally only reading the Caraval series. But I'm on the 3rd book in the Caraval series right now. I was really scared to get into fantasy because I just didn't know if it's something that I would enjoy. I never really read much fantasy or like sci-fi growing up, although I am kind of missing my romance, so I'm excited to read a quick romance after I'm done with the Caraval series. Like I said, I have The Inheritance Games, so that is the one that we have here. This is a series. Let's see how many books are in this one. So we have The Inheritance Games, The Hawthorne Legacy, and then The Final Gambit, which is the whole series. So this is just the first book. Honestly, I don't even know what this is about. Avery Grams has a plan for a better future, survive high school, win a scholarship, and get out. But her luck changes in an instant when billionaire Tobias Hawthorne dies and leaves her virtually his entire fortune. The only catch, Avery must move into a sprawling mansion full of secret passages, riddles, and codes. Unfortunately for Avery, Hawthorne House is occupied by the family that was just disinherited. This includes the 4 Hawthorne grandsons, dangerous magnetic boys who grew up with every expectation that one day they would inherit billions. This actually sounds really good. This reminds me a lot of Caraval just because of the whole like house thing. Yeah, I don't know. It just reminds me of Caraval, but this sounds good. Fantasy books are always so long though, and the only thing about fantasy is you have to, especially in the first book, it's like world building. You have to fully understand the world that they're living in. That is the inheritance games. I have so many like first or second books of series that I haven't even started yet, but I don't like buying the whole series because I'm like, what if I don't like it and then I just spent so much money on all these books when I don't even want to read them. Although I'm the type of person that like has to finish a book, so I don't know. Like right now I honestly don't really like the 3rd book in the Caraval series. I'm hoping it's gonna get better. I'm almost halfway through it, but I like the first 2 a lot better. But I'm like, I just have to finish it because I have to know what happens. So next we have Once Upon a Broken Heart. You can read, you don't have to read Caraval first, but a lot of people say that you should read this after reading Caraval because there is a character or maybe a few characters that are in this that are in Caraval. I'm obviously finishing Caraval right now and then I will eventually read this. I don't think I'm gonna read it right away because I really have some other books that I want to read first, but eventually I will read this. This is so pretty. I still need to get The Ballad of Never After, which is the one after this, and then I think there's another book that's not out yet that's called A Curse for True Love. That one still has not come out, but the covers are so pretty, and I think she's even come out with new ones as well. I have seen The Ballad of Never After like at Barnes and stuff, but it's the hardcover and I don't want to have one soft cover and one hardcover, so I don't know. Paperback. Why did I say soft cover? Anyways, so the next 2 books I have, they go together. So I have the Shatter Me series. I have the first 2 books. Like I said, I don't know why I have the first 2 books, but I have a feeling I'll like it, I hope. Oh my gosh, these are like all fantasy books. As you can tell, I've been in my fantasy era. These are the first 2 books in the Shatter Me series. This is a really popular series that everyone says that I'm going to love, so hopefully that is the case. Let me read the back real quick. So the back says, no one knows why Juliet's touch is fatal, but the reestablishment has plans for her. Plans to use her as a weapon, but Juliet has plans of her own. After a lifetime without freedom, she's finally discovering a strength to fight back for the very first time. In the electrifying first book in the Shatter Me series, Terra Mafi, sorry if that's wrong, it presents a riveting dystopian world, a thrilling superhero story, and an unforgettable heroine. I don't know. It sounds pretty good. This first book is really short though. It's like, let's see how many pages. This is 300 pages, which is honestly, that's like really short to me because all of the books that I've been reading are like 500 pages, but yeah. I will get here eventually. There's like 6 books in this series, I think, or more. I'm gonna get to the romance books eventually, guys. Don't worry. Next, we have The Silent Patient. I've had this for so long. I actually got this for Christmas. I am so excited to read this. I keep forgetting that I have it. Like, I really want to read it because I've heard it's so good and like the plot twist is really good. I just always forget that I have it for some reason. And the fact that it's hardcover does kind of steer me away, which is so dumb. It should not do that, but I don't know. It's just so large. Synopsis of it is crazy. So it basically says that, it says in the synopsis, Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect, a famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer. She lives in a grand house overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from work and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. So I think she talks to like a therapist, and I'm not exactly sure the whole plot of it, but I've heard that there's a really big plot twist and that makes me want to read it so much because I feel like that's what makes a book a 5-star for me. It's just if there's like a really big plot twist. Like in Layla, that was crazy. 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think there's another one. I feel like I'm gonna really like this. Next we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is a series of, I want to say 4 books. I'm not exactly sure, but this is about a high school. I think there's been a murder and basically everyone's trying to like piece together who could have done it. It says Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. She decides to re-examine the case for her final project. She discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sale innocent. Dang, that just gave me chills. That sounds really, really good, and I think this is a pretty fast read. Yeah, it's a YA book. So next, we have a super exciting book. I'm sure you guys saw it in the back there, but I finally found this, and now that I have it, I see it all over the bookstore, so it must be everyone's kind of catching up to getting it, and not as many people are buying it anymore. But we have the Fourth Wing here. I'm really excited to read this. I honestly don't even know what this is about, but everyone is telling me to pick it up and to read it, and I've literally heard nothing other than a 5-star on this, so I'm just gonna read the back quick and try to see what it's about. Okay, I'm not gonna explain the whole plot because I'm sure a lot of you have already either read this or kind of know what it's about from other people saying, but this sounds a lot like Hunger Games. Like, they're basically outside, like, fighting a war with each other, kind of battling for a position, I think. Yeah, it says striving to become the elite of Navarre, which are dragon riders. There's only 2 ways out: graduate or die. Sounds a lot like Hunger Games, and this book is so long. Also, I think it's like 600 pages. I am really excited to read that. Okay, next we're getting more into like romance books. Here I have Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I think it's kind of like the plot of Love in Other Words. So they haven't seen each other in a very long time and they meet up again. Yeah, just a quick romance book. This is like a really short one. Next we have The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. So this is the same author who wrote The Fourth Wing, which I did not know until I read the author the other day. I was like, wait a second, that's who wrote The Fourth Wing. It says as seen on TikTok. That's funny. So this girl named Georgia, she just went through a divorce. She goes back to her late great-grandmother's estate in Colorado. So her grandmother has a book that's left unfinished, and so she meets this author. She finds herself face to face with Noah Harrison, which is an author of a bunch of other books, so I think he's trying to finish the book. They go back into the manuscript and try to see like why her grandmother didn't finish the book. It's based on her real life romance with a World War II pilot, and the ending isn't a happy one, so that's why she didn't finish the book, I think. I don't know, it sounds a lot like Verity. If you've read Verity, there's basically this husband hires someone to finish the end of his wife's book, who is like paralyzed, and I don't know, it just sounds a lot like that. So next we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I saw what is her name, I saw Rachel Catherine talk about this, and this book is absolutely massive, by the way. Like, for a paperback, this is a really big book. I don't even know like what this is about literally at all. On the back it says, in a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name. And so, okay, yeah, so I forgot, she doesn't know her name, and then she has to try to like figure out the pieces, and somebody does remember her name and everything changes. So I am really, really excited for this. This sounds, I don't really know what this would be considered as, maybe like a fantasy, I guess. I don't know, but it sounds really good, and I'm excited to get into this. Why am I saying that for literally every book? Obviously I'm excited, I bought it. Next we have another romance series. So this is the Twisted Love series. This is the Twisted series by Anna Hong. I don't really know how to pronounce her last name, but I have the first 2 books. Again, don't ask me why, I literally don't know because I haven't read the first one. Yeah, but this is basically just a romance series, I think. I feel like this book is gonna have a lot of spice in it, and I think that's why a lot of people like it, but I don't know, it's just like not something, it's not why I read a book. Like, I read a book because I like the connection between characters. Like Happy Place, that was like literally, I will never love a book more, I don't think, just because the author was able to really connect to the characters in a way that was not like through lust and things like that. That's probably not everything this book is about. I'm sure there's a lot deeper like story to it, maybe, I don't really know. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. We have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I have never read one of Frida McFadden's books, but apparently she's like a really, really good author. And I think this is basically about a woman who is a housemaid in this like very large mansion. All of a sudden weird things start to happen. She discovers some things. So this is like a mystery thriller book, I think. It reminds me of Rock, Paper, Scissors, just the way that it sounds, but probably because that's the only mystery thriller book that I've ever read. I am excited to read this one. There's also a second book to this that is called The Housemaid's Secret, I believe. So I will probably read that after that. Next, we have a memoir. I have been meaning to read this for so long. But this is called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I actually started this book. I think I got like 15 pages in. And it's just so different than a normal book. It's so hard to get into something when it's not, like when it's real, and it's very different than a fiction book. So I do definitely want to get to this at some point. I just need to do it, honestly. I think I will really enjoy it and enjoy hearing the backstory to her life and all the things that happened, because iCarly was one of my favorite shows growing up. We will get through this eventually. All right, so next I have 2 Abby Jimenez books. I've never read any of her books, but I've heard really good things about both of these. So we have Part of Your World and then Yours Truly, and I think these are interconnected standalones, so they are kind of a little bit related, but you can also read them separately. Like, you don't have to read them as a series. Yeah, I think this is just a romance book. And then Yours Truly. So Brianna just went through a divorce and her brother is running out of time to find a kidney donor. She gets a letter from Dr. Jacob Maddox that completely flips the game. I'm excited to read both of her books. I've heard really good things about her as an author. I feel like I will really connect to some of her books. Based on the things that people have been saying, I feel like I'll connect to it a lot. Okay, next we have a book that I started. I actually still have my bookmark in here, wow. So we have Ugly Love here by Colleen Hoover, another blue book. Literally, what the heck? I don't know what's going on there. I'm on page 94 of this book. If I end up starting it again, I think I'll have to restart it because I remember a little bit, but not a whole lot. Her books are really quick to read anyways, and this is a super short one. So I feel like I could get through this pretty quickly. I think it's like enemies to lovers, basically. The only thing Tate and Miles have in common is a mutual physical attraction that can't be denied. Once their desires are out in the open, they realize that they might have stumbled on the perfect no strings attachment. Basically an enemies to lovers, I would assume. Oh my gosh, you guys. This next book gives me the chills just picking it up. This is the heaviest book I've ever owned. Just saying, I could not, I still can't believe it. This book is 800 pages long. So we have A Little Life here by Hanya. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, but basically that's her last name. It says National Book Award finalist. So I have heard so many good things about this. I think there are trigger warnings for trauma, things like that, like anxiety. I don't really know exactly what all this book covers, so be sure to look that up before you read this if you do choose to read this, but I'm gonna read the back. It says, A Little Life follows 4 college classmates broke adrift and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition as they move to New York in search of fame and fortune. While their relationships, which are tinged by addiction, success, and pride, the men are held together by their devotion to the brilliant, enigmatic Jude, a man scarred by an unspeakable childhood trauma, a hymn to brotherly bonds and a masterful depiction of love in the 21st century. The novel is about the families we are born into and those that we make for ourselves. Wow. This sounds really good, and I really want to read this next, but it's gonna take me so long to get through. Oh my gosh, I have like chills all over my body. I actually thought this was about 4 girls, but it's about 4 guys who have just graduated college. I feel like I'm gonna cry a lot in this book, but I'm looking forward to reading this. The next book that we have is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, and this is what it looks like. I also got this for Christmas. This is actually, I thought this was a romance book, but reading the synopsis, this sounds more like a mystery thriller. It's about a guy named Owen who has a 16-year-old daughter, Bailey. His wife, which is Bailey's stepmom, Hannah, he gives her a note that basically says protect her, and it's about, you know, like protect my daughter. And he goes missing, and they kind of, the daughter and the stepmom kind of set out together and try to find where he is and why he left. Okay, I definitely thought this was a romance book, but it's not, I don't think. Yeah, that is interesting. All right, next we have The King of Wrath by Anna Huang. And this is the author of the Twisted series that I just talked about. This is really funny. I think this is a fantasy book. Billionaire CEO Dante Russo thrives on control both personally and professionally. He never planned to marry until the threat of blackmail forces him into an engagement with a woman he barely knows. Vivian, jewelry heiress and daughter of his newest enemy. The wife he never wanted and the weakness he never saw coming. It doesn't matter how beautiful or charming she is. Dante will do everything in his power to destroy the blackmail and their betrothal. This sounds so much like Hooked. Wow. Like the book that I just read back there. This sounds a lot like that. It also kind of sounds like Caraval which is so funny. Everything just connects now that I've read more books. But basically it's an arranged marriage. It says this is book 1, so that's interesting because I don't think that there's another book out yet. So she must be coming out with the second book. Next, I'm just gonna bring out both of these books. So here we have 2 Taylor Jenkins Reid books. I think I've read 2 of her books. Yes, I have read Malibu Rising and then also 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I did like both of those books. I've heard a lot of good things about this. It's kind of like it's about a coming of age, late 60s. I feel like all of her books really interconnect and have different subplots in them that connect with other books. It says her voice is getting noticed and she has beauty that makes people do crazy things. She's also getting noticed by the 6th, a band led in the brooding Billy Doon. That is what this one is about. And then we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is also really heavy, so I'm not sure what it is that makes a book this heavy. In her 20s, Emma Blair marries her high school sweetheart Jesse. They build a life for themselves far away from the expectations of their parents and the people of their hometown. They travel the world together. On their first wedding anniversary, Jesse is on an assignment and his helicopter goes missing over the Pacific. Emma quits her job and moves home, tries to put her life back together, and she runs into an old friend named Sam. They get engaged and Jesse is found. Probably a love triangle here. That sounds really good. Next we have the Spanish Love Deception. You guys, I've had this book for so long. I don't even know if I will ever read this because I really have not heard good things about it, and I think it's like a fake dating trope. So basically she needs a wedding date and she ends up finding this guy. Her colleague looks like fake dating trope. I don't know, I've just not heard very good things about it. Also, why is it yellow? I don't know why it's yellow. Next we have a book that I just don't know if I want to read, but here we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And you guys, I love Emily Henry's Happy Place book. Like, you guys know this, all-time favorite book. I just don't know if I want to read this because I've heard so many not good things about it, and I want to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I feel like I understand Emily Henry's reading. She's not for everyone. I feel like you have to understand the emotions and the feelings that someone is going through in the book. Like, if you haven't experienced that, you're not experiencing that in life, you won't connect to the book. And I want to think that I will connect to this, but so many people have said it's boring. I need to have a month where I read books that I don't want to read. I think I got this for Christmas, I'm pretty sure, and I really wanted to read it then, but ever since then I've just heard like not so good things, so I don't know. Next I have Where the Crawdads Sing. I actually just started this the other day because I was at home and I didn't want to read my other book, and my mom had this and she's read it and she really liked it. I feel like I've heard a lot of good things about this. I am only to the part where the mom and all of the kids have left, and I think Kaya is her name. She's left on her own with her dad, who's like very abusive, and they have this marsh that's down by their house. I'm not too sure all about this, but it does sound really good. My camera's about to die, so I need to hurry up. But yeah, it sounds really good, and I really want to watch the movie, but I want to read this first before I watch it. So I need to read this soon because I've heard that movie is really good, and I think it's on Netflix right now. So I need to watch it before they take it off because we all know that's probably going to happen. Okay, last but not least, we have the book that I'm probably going to read next, and that is Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. So I just finished the first book in this series, which is part of the Knock 'Em Out series. This one follows more Nash and his life, I think. I can't really explain everything that happened in the first book, but basically it's about Naomi. She moves into this town and there's 2 brothers, Nash and Knox. The first book tells the story of Naomi and Knox, and this one is about Nash, which is the brother and I think one of Naomi's friends. It is so long. All of her books are so long. I feel like all the books that I've been reading recently are like 500 pages and I'm just over. I just want a really short book to read, but I want to read this before my birthday because that's when the 3rd book comes out, which is Things, why can I never remember the name of it? Things We Left Behind. I think that's the last book, but I want to read this before September 5th so I can buy it and read it right away. I need to read this. Okay guys, I think that is going to be the end of today's video. I feel like it's gonna be really long, but that is all of my physical TBR. I Definitely don't have as much as some people have. I feel like some people have like over 130 books in their physical TBR, which is so insane. Hope I don't get to that point. I hope that I actually read the books that I have before going and buying new ones, but y'all know that I love to buy books. So I have so many books I want to read next, but I'm just like so torn. Like I really want to read The Fourth Wing. I don't even know. I really want to read A Little Life. There's so many good ones in here, guys. I don't know what will be next. Anyways, that is going to be all for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Look forward to many more book videos. Comment down below what your favorite books are so I can pick them up and add them to my TBR as if I need more books. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!
Writing songs about things that I